Hello, and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate and inspire romanticism through passionate people doing incredible things. Hi, I'm a menace to antique bookstores with rolling bookshelves. Hi, I'm Trey. And I'm joined by someone who is a champion for all things romanticism, Emily. Hi, Emily.
Thank you. That was really nice. Thank you.
You're
Hi.
welcome. What was the what was the reaction to
It
about
was
the
just a really good one. Yeah, that was a really good one today.
Thank you. I appreciate
Hmm.
that. I actually have to say thank you. Thank you. For those that are just listening, you can't see, but I am bowing. Thank you. Thank you. I'll take my flowers later.
Your
Uh,
flowers.
typically, I try to come up with them on the spot. I'll be mulling over them throughout the day, but then I'll just say it on the podcast. But no, this one actually I thought about well in advance, so I'm quite proud of myself.
Good
So
job.
thanks. How was your week?
It, busy like always. It's summer. There's always something to do outside. There's always something to do on top of that. I have been working on redoing my website, which
Hmm.
is painstaking and it's different when you're making a website for someone else. If anybody's out there who has done this, it's when you're doing it for yourself, you're like, oh, there's this like weird in between. Maybe it's like costuming for yourself. You want it to be like the best thing on earth,
Mm-hmm.
but also you want to take all the shortcuts possible
Mm-hmm.
because some details maybe don't matter to you. You're like, whatever, just get that, slap that picture up there. No description. I'm just going to title it. And I've decided to take the time to do some of this, like telling the stories and creating kind of a blog sort of thing where here's this picture I did, here's the story behind it, here's why I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's taking way longer than I thought. So I spent way too long doing that today. And while I'm mostly happy with it, I also feel like this might kill me. So
Okay.
don't go look yet. It is not. I haven't uploaded. I haven't like made anything live yet, so you won't see a change anyway. It's still old terrible self.
Oh my gosh.
But
It
one
was
day I
never
will unveil
terrible.
it. Oh no. One day I will unveil it and it will be great. How is your week?
I'm happy to talk about my week in a second, but first we're going to address how you framed that. Number one, it's not going to kill you. Two, it is just taking you longer than you want it to, because you're giving it the time and attention that you would give to somebody that was, paying you to do that. So it matters because it's you. Think of yourself as that
Yeah, it
client.
does. And I really wanted the only way to do it justice is to do it myself and the right way. Like
Yeah.
so
So
I've decided to do it right.
So look at yourself in the mirror, tell yourself that you are the client, and therefore take the time that's necessary to make it look as good as possible.
Great. No shortcuts.
No shortcuts.
I am this is a labor of love then since I'm not paying myself. Hopefully we'll pay off somehow in the future.
Yes. But no, my weekend's been good. My week has been good. Talking like mental health wise, it's been a little bit of a low curve. But I'm picking myself up because I realized that I am co-host of a podcast and I get to meet a new friend every week.
That's
So
right.
that improved my spirits. And with this seamless transition in mind, would you introduce our fantastic guest today?
Wow, that was I'm not even ready. Tonight. Excuse me. Tonight we are joined by Tricia Copeland, fantasy author and host of Finding the Magic podcast. She brings readers into worlds where magic is everywhere. Welcome to the show, Tricia.
Thank you.
So, Trisha, first things first, I love the subject matter that you've got for your books. But like with any author, every person's journey into becoming an author is a little bit different. So, can you tell us a little bit more about how you got started with writing?
Sure. I never thought I would like writing. I'm not like any other author you talk to. But I got into technical writing for my job. I was a research scientist and I got into technical writing and realized I liked that. And then when I stayed home with my kids, I was bored because I was chasing 3 toddlers around all day. Not bored, but my mind needed something. And I started writing a fictionalized account of my experience with anorexia. I was anorexic as a young adult, and I just started writing this story of people who experienced anorexia and how, it affected her life, and then how she recovered. And it was just like a movie playing in my head. I really had no creative writing experience. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just having fun with all these different characters that, were falling in and out of love and having drama, and on top of this, overarching plot line of recovery from this mental health disease. So, yeah, that's how I started. And my sister-in-law, she's a very artistic person, most artistic person I know. And she said, well, I have to read it. And it was like 150,000 words at this point. And I mean, that's, a lot. And so I let her read it. And she's like, it's great. You have to do something with that. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. But I did have a friend who I found out was a self-published author and an editor. So I started talking to her, and she said, well, I'll read it. And I was like, okay, well, just tell me what you think. If it's bad, just read 2 chapters and tell me, And she was like, well, it sounds like a movie. It looks like you were trying to write a screenplay, but we can fix that. We can make it more novelish, which is what ended up happening. She ended up being my editor, and that became my first series, which is a 4-book series.
Wow.
I want to. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I want to know, because I think I have witnessed this before, but I want to know what for you was more cinematic about it versus, like, what was more screenplay about it rather than novel?
It was all heavy dialogue and action. Like, it didn't,
Okay.
It was literally probably almost all dialogue. Like,
I got it.
But like, this 150,000 words went down to like 120, and she split it into 2 books, and so
Okay.
it was just more learning to write, not saying everything that was happening. It was, yeah.
I got it. So building the world.
Right.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. What was your question, Trey?
I'm curious about the inspiration to go from getting it out of your head, out of your person, and then the inspiration to do something with that. Do you think that you would have like given it to an editor or sent it out to a publisher of sorts if someone hadn't encouraged you?
I think I might have like sought that out, because it was such a long document at that point. And I was such an advocate, or am still such an advocate for mental health, and, showing people that there is hope, whatever stage of their mental health journey they're on, and just raising awareness of eating disorders. So at that point in my life, I probably would have like kept doing something with it and thought out like people who could help with that. It's funny because I did a lot of querying for the first book when I started out, and like Harlequin said, oh, but we wanted this to wrap up in 1 book. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't explain it in 1 book. So.
Oh, good for you. No, this takes 4 books. I want a 4-book deal.
That's right.
So with that being such a personal, like a personal topic, even though you are taking it and making a slightly different account of that, how do you balance writing that and being so vulnerable in that state while also making such a compelling world around it?
I guess, I had to, and why I think I did like a fictionalized account, which is I just didn't want it being too much about me. I wanted it being about, what the character experienced and how they overcame with their situation. So, I mean, a lot of times I do talk about my stories very close to theirs, but because that was helped me write it, I think. But yeah, it's just, I guess having that little degree of separation from my character helped, and making it cooler and more sexy than my life actually was. So, yeah.
Right.
And that made it fun too, right? That made it like, yeah, you don't want to write verbatim what happened to you. Well, maybe some people do. Maybe some people have cool lives like that. But yeah.
I mean, I'm a fae. How about you, Trey?
I declined to comment. I'm in the witness protection program.
Just don't tell him your name.
I want to ask you, don't tell. With that, where was I going with that? I have completely lost my question.
I
Pass it back to you,
probably
Emily.
derailed it. Yeah, I probably derailed that. That's awesome. Yeah. I don't want to. I wanted to jump into your podcast as far as topic, but I want to wait because we're still talking about, and you have several genres you write in. So I guess one thing I thought of to ask was about how you balance those. And are you jumping around? Like, do you just have a lot of ideas and you're like, okay, I want to try this one. I want to try this one, because that's how I would do it. Or is it more like, okay, this is just I don't want to say just, that's incorrect. But this is how I grew, or this is how I progressed through the writing I want to do.
Right. So after I wrote my first series, it's called the Being Me series, I quickly jumped and wanted to write fantasy because that's what I love reading. That's my kind of my passion for the genre I like. So I wrote like one short story for an anthology, and it was so funny. My editor was like, this isn't supernatural enough. Like, you need to do better here. So I amped it up, and it turned out to be a really cute story. And from there, I wanted to write vampires because they're my favorite. And then, and it didn't turn into a vampire series, but that's okay. But yeah, so I just started thinking about characters and what that looked like, and the world and where I was going to land. And so that became my Kingdom Journal series, which is about a trinity of witches. So, but I do go back and forth between my romance genre and my fantasy genre, and they balance each other out, because in my fantasy genres, like, you have to put characters in like dire situations, and bad things are going to happen. People are going to die, or vampires or witches or whoever is going to die, right? And I get so intense about it, and so wrapped up in my characters, whatever situation they're in, that I need a break. And I need a time when, the worst thing that's going to happen is the guy is going to break up with you or leave you, or something's not going to work out, right? Which is, that's sad too, but in a different way for me. So I'll write a fantasy story, and then I need a break through this. And I'll write a fun romance, and then I'll go back and write a fantasy.
And then when you're doing those things, how do you fuel? This is a question I ask a lot of people, and that is, how do you fuel yourself for writing, whether it's in general or for each genre? I suppose it could be different. Do you intentionally go fuel your inspiration, or does it just come to you anyway and that's not as necessary?
Yeah, usually my books are really character-based, so I'm passionate about that character, their story, their challenge, like what they're going to show the world, like their whatever particular not really powers. I guess I think of them as gifts. I think of every human as having different gifts that we discover along the way, right? We don't know, maybe we do know we have them from the beginning, but I think, for me, it's becoming an adult, even like into my older adult years. Like, I keep discovering new things that I'm good at. I'm like, oh, I can do this, right? So we discover things along the way, which my characters do, that make them, that either help the world around them or help their people or their, whoever they're helping, or however they're helping shape the world in some way. So that's really how my story, and I really put my characters in worlds or situations that's going to highlight whatever aspect or theme that I'm choosing for that character.
That's really cool. One of the quotes you have on your website talks about the magic of even something as like a sunset and crafting those worlds. So when you go about crafting the world around them and selecting those different items, what about, and you can choose any of your series for this to answer this question, but what does that turn into? How does your idea about you want to emphasize this concept then inform your decisions about the forests, about the way that the sun rises, about the way in which even the air smells?
Right. So I'll use my most recent series, my Fae series. It's called the Realm Chronicle series as an example. So I was tasked with writing a short story in an anthology where fantasy characters are supposed to have mental health challenges. And the picture on the postcard for the announcement asking for authors to submit stories was a fairy who was hunched in a meadow, and she looked anxious or scared, or so she just looked scared, but she was hunched down, not like horrified scared, but maybe more anxious. So, and I'd never written about fairies. I never really read that much about fairies, never thought I would write about fairies, but for whatever reason, this picture grabbed me. And I thought, well, why is she scared? Like, what is she scared of? Why would she be scared? And what is her world? And so I thought, oh, well, she could be a princess, and she could be, maybe her father's about to hand her the crown, and she wasn't supposed to be, the monarch, but her 4 brothers who are older than her died, and now she has to do it, and there's invading species, and, so my mind just like kept building these layers around her of, what are her challenges? What does she want for herself? And okay, she's going to be the first female monarch in her realm. Like, that's going to be a huge challenge. And then she's going to have a special power that's different than everyone else. And that's going to be a scary thing, because having something like different from other people in your community can be scary, right? So she has all these challenges, and then her mental health issue was this anxiety panic attack thing, which you don't really want to have if you're supposed to be leading a whole kingdom and saving them from their realm collapsing. So yes, it was just like layering things upon each other and looking at, like you said, that what is the air going to be like? Where is she going to live? And and how does she interact with other people? So it's just going to build on itself once my mind gets going.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. You don't think about always when you're reading fantasy that these people who are acting in the way they're acting may be acting that way because of a mental health thing. It's usually not. At least in historically, it's not necessarily named or outright discussed. So that's an interesting take, and maybe would make some fantasy more relatable for some people to read that and be able to see themselves in those characters.
Yeah, and it was interesting because the anthology never went anywhere. Like they ended up not doing it, which was unfortunate. But I had my short story, and I had my fairy character, and so I incorporated her in another series, which is the Witches series, the Kingdom Journals. And she came and helped the witches. Her and her army came and helped the witches, because I thought, who's going to help the witches if they need an army? Okay, the fairies would. Just fit right in.
I mean, giving somebody that's about to be a monarch that level of mental health kind of reminds me of a conversation we had a while back with Gregory Maguire, who said something along the lines of what makes a character interesting sometimes is to give them something that's the antithesis of what you expect. So a monarch having this panic attack kind of anxiety disorder would be interesting to see and compelling to watch them like evolve over that and become this person, so you get more invested in that journey. So I love that decision personally.
Yeah. A question from our chat is, have you modeled characters after any people you know?
Well, I guess the question is yes, because I modeled my characters after me, but not any others specifically. Like, I feel like my characters are like mismatches of people I've met or things like that, beyond my fictionalized account of my first series.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people in the audience are going, okay, phew, that character isn't about me.
I wondered that too. Like, what? Let's put you on the spot here.
I had panic attacks as a young adult, and I do know people who have had panic attacks and anxiety. So, so I think, all those are little pieces of people.
Sure. Yeah. I feel like there are times when I have driven through towns or gone to an event or a gathering of some sort, or met somebody new and picked up things where I've gone, okay, one day for my novel that I haven't written, I'm going to use that name for the tavern, and I'm going to use that name for the character, and this character trait over here this person has, my goodness, that has to go in there. And do you do the same thing? Like, how is it when you're deciding these things that you are inspired to pull names and pull characteristics?
I don't think I necessarily see something and then say, oh, I can use this later. I think I more like remember things. It's more to that. When I'm thinking about like creating the world or creating the characters, I'm, grabbing at things from experiences more.
Okay. Yeah, like for me, if I ever read a novel, this is to the audience. If I ever read a novel and you're wondering if this character is written about you, it probably is.
Oh, your co-host
Trey.
is sweating profusely.
I mean, I haven't written it, so there's nothing to be afraid of.
It's
But
still in your
was
brain.
thinking
I'm
about
still
that, like,
sweating.
but I was thinking about that because that's kind of just how I think, which maybe makes it so I wouldn't be a good author. I don't know. But I don't know. I was always curious, like, just because I think that way doesn't mean everybody does. Clearly, Tricia doesn't. So, and maybe that's good. It keeps you safe. Like, then the people around you can read it and feel like, oh, okay, I'm good because she's not using me as an example.
You always have that blurb in the beginning of the book, these are entirely fictitious characters.
Mm-hmm. My character named Trey isn't about you, Trey.
Well, Tricia, is there a particular style of book or a style of writing that you have been wanting to test out?
Ooh, yeah.
And just kind of see, like, maybe I'll try this for my next novel.
So I write first person, and it's obviously very close to the protagonist. It's always the protagonist that's talking to you. And I keep like dabbling with third person. So I wrote a short story that I submitted in another anthology that was in third person that I was just trying it out. And I keep wanting to, I feel like it's a challenge and that I should write like a full-length novel in third person, and maybe I just need to find the right novel to write that way. But so I like doing different things like that to challenge myself and challenge my writing skills. Like I took a screenwriting class this year just to see how different what that was, and that really helped me like think about plot differently, even if I put that plot in a novel and it's not a screenplay. So I do things like that to kind of help increase my skills and kind of round them out. But I still don't know if I'm going to have that book that's going to be third person, because I love being in the character's head.
Yeah.
And knowing their thoughts, feelings, reactions.
I will send whatever I write to you because I constantly find myself writing in third person, and I do not like writing in first person, or I'd say I don't like it. I find it challenging. So I feel like I need to send my drafts to you and be like, nope, let's do this.
Well, we could do it for each other, because I think certain people are just drawn to writing a certain way, and maybe that's how their brain thinks and they see the world a little bit differently. Because I've definitely talked to authors, like most authors will write in the same point of view for all their books.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels more natural, I think.
I mean, that makes sense.
If you read a lot of series by the same author, you kind of see that thread through their novels as well.
And I like reading third person too. I like reading first person probably most, but I like reading third person too, and it doesn't bother me when I read it, but I just like, it's just not a natural state.
Yeah.
Sense.
Sorry.
No.
You were going to say something and then I stopped.
We do this constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
This was about self-publishing versus, I guess, not like the graphic behind you for anyone watching is of a fairy as part of like your book cover for the Fae series. And I was wondering how you got to choose that then? Is that something you got to pick?
actually on the cover. I should have had my book here, but I don't. But she is my character art for the character. Yes. Her name is Titania. That's Queen Titania, and she on the cover of my books, I just have her face on the covers.
That's right.
And some wings behind them. So, but yeah, so that's my fairy, Queen Titania. And yeah, I had someone create her. So that was really fun because she has her arrows and she has her sword. But yeah, I mean, I love the graphics sometimes as much as the words.
That's kind of why I was drawn to it. I like the graphics on To Be a Fae and To Be a Fae Rogue. It's kind of a cool, like, almost modern Fae look. I want to use that sparingly because who's to say it's fantasy, so modern may not apply. But that's kind of neat. The color choices and just the fantasy aspect with jewels on their faces and things like that. I just love that from an art standpoint. So I was wondering if you got to choose that or if that was somehow chosen for you.
No, I got to choose that. It was actually an ice queen, so she didn't have red hair. She didn't have any wings, and my cover creator, Shower of Smith Designs, Eleanor Lloyd Jones, she helped me like put the red hair in and put the wings on and made her a fae instead of this ice queen that was the original image. So, and then I just picked different poses because they had a lot of the stock photos with different poses of the same, I guess, actress, for lack of a better term, right? So then we made her into, and I actually had to write a plot scene of how she got the jewels on her head, because I wanted her to not have them in the beginning and then to get them. So I actually had to think of how she ended up having those on her head.
Okay.
So that was fun. I wrote that into the story like after I found the cover image. Yeah.
Very nice way to pair that though. Yeah, and To Be a Fae Queen. That's another image I thought that was really cool. A nice way to tie those together too, just visually. I like when books do that. I don't know. That's just not that my opinion necessarily matters, but I can see why, like, that the imagery on there makes me want to pick up the book.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I definitely want to dive into the podcast, but I think my last question before we dive into that is there a book from the ones you've written so far that you wish more people would pick up and just devour?
Good question.
Probably my Azrea book. I wrote, it's called Azrea, Aztec Priestess. And I co-wrote that book with an illustrator that's local to me. And we met in an online networking group, and his art just really grabbed me. And we started connecting. We had Zoom calls. This is back in the pandemic. And he had like a goddesses art line that was like all hand-drawn illustrations, Matt Mays. And I was thinking something small. He's like, let's do something together. And I was like, oh, we could do a coloring sheet or a bookmark or something. He's like, why don't we write a book together? And I was like, wow, that is really cool. Like, I mean, he was thinking much bigger than I would have ever thought. So he always had this character, Azrea, who was like a goddess-like character who he had wanted to do something with. And he said, okay, well, this is going to be the main character. What are we going to do with her? And so I started doing some research and realized it was like Mexican or Aztec influence of the name. And so I created her character. She's an Aztec girl who has this special mark, but she's given to a shaman because her parents are scared of her, and the shaman promises to help her, her powers she has some powers. I won't say them because I don't want to ruin the story, but the shaman's supposed to help protect her, but then she realizes the shaman's actually using her for his own gain. So she decides to go on her own and try to save her people. Obviously the Aztec people are being overrun by the Spanish. So she goes on this quest. And so, yeah, it's more of a like upper middle grade book. So the character's 12 years old. But yeah, it's one of my favorite stories. Matt and I created the story, but it was really cool that it was the first time I ever sort of co-created something like that, and he illustrated it. But also, like, when I got stuck in the story, he'd say, oh, or if I'd say, I don't really like how this is going. I don't think this character would do this. What do you think? And then he'd help me find the answer. And he was always like, yeah, she wouldn't do that. So it was just amazing how, like, we aligned on her character and the storyline and things like that. It was a really cool experience.
Honestly, I was going to bring that one up because I love mythology. And so being able to pull from different cultures of mythology, it really appeals to me. So I'm glad. And even though I am 30 years old, I am happy to pick up that book.
There's no age limit on reading.
I was going to say, no. I mean, and like as an adult, I mean, I wrote it. So as an adult, I love reading it. So I think adults would love to read it too. And it was really neat because Matt's heritage is Mexican too. So it really just fits with everything.
That's so cool. You talking about the co-collaboration of the book made me think about when you are creating your books outside of that co-collaboration, do you find yourself ever spitballing ideas off of other people? And if not, how do you get your sounding board for your ideas without going directly to your editor?
Yeah, so I had this, well, my editor, that was my first editor / friend,
Okay.
she stopped being an editor. And so I have a new editor now that did the whole fairy series, Joy Michaels. But now I just have my friend, so I can say, hey, what do you think about this? But really, it ends up more that if I just talk about it or think about it, I can talk myself or think myself into what I need to do next, wherever I am. So it's usually more of like an internal head process when I'm running or hiking, or, I mean, that's part of that magic of seeing sunsets and things for me. Like, I feel like I love nature. When I'm out in nature, my mind just wanders. And that's when I come up with a lot of my storylines and characters. So when I'm out running or listening, even I'm driving, listening to music, I'm just thinking about my characters and my plot and what's come next. And did I just write the right thing for this character? And it just kind of, I don't know, I keep thinking about it until it comes to me.
I think in a world where we're constantly moving through things and like putting out so much, it's refreshing to hear like, I'm just going to pause, and when the right thing comes to me, it'll come to me, giving it a little bit more time. So with that, you finding yourself running in nature or being out in nature, you have also talked about finding the magic in things, which is also the name of your podcast. Why does the term finding magic appeal to you so much?
I just feel like we all have, and I call it magical qualities, and people may just call it like things they're good at or things they love to do. But to me, that's magic. Like, I never thought of myself as a creative person. I mean, I went to school for science. I was a research scientist, and I never thought I was creative. Like, I wouldn't have told you I would have been a writer in 1,000 years. I mean, I made a negative 120 on a English paper one time. So, like, literally my English teacher was like, where did this come from? So, and, so I think it was just like finding that kind of, I don't know if it's a gift or just like something that I can do, like or realizing that about myself made me think it's kind of magical. And like, we all have these little magical talents, I guess is the word I'm searching for, that, I just like believing it. It makes me happy to believe that this is sort of magical, and like really paying attention in the moment to all the things around you and how kind of every minute could be magical. I just like thinking that way. It makes me really happy. So, and I get excited when I talk to people with different talents and their projects, and hearing like authors that have different worlds they're building and all these powers the characters have. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun for me.
I definitely can relate to that. I work in a makerspace where people come in all the time thinking, oh, I'm not creative. You've probably heard that a million times too, where people think, like you too, thought you weren't that creative. I have a science brain, or I have a math brain, or, just because I figured out a substitution or altered a recipe, that doesn't mean I'm creative. Even though it is, Those things count. And when people come in and try something new and it changes them, I believe that's magical. I mean, that's something that and especially when they realize it themselves and how it changes them inside and how it gives them confidence. And now they're trying something else new. And that's something that is relatable for me, but also like, I love seeing that too. That's pretty incredible.
It's like creating something from nothing. And isn't that magic in some sense of a word, right?
Yep.
What would you say is your most magical quality?
Ooh, good question.
Magical quality. Oh my goodness. I mean, it must just be writing, right? Like bringing these characters and stories to life, I think. And I think that's it.
I love people that are storytellers, so I'm glad that you said that. Yes, I think writers are some of the best storytellers because it's literally what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm embarrassed because my friends know this about me, but I talk in stories too. Like when I'm talking to people, I'm usually not just saying I went down the road. It'll be like, oh, blah 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 blah. Oh, and I got to the end of the road, So I always I talk in stories too. So. And then I hear myself and I'm like, I need to stop.
No, you don't. Keep doing it.
It's working for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You were going to ask something.
Nope.
Do you find that I guess find, that's not the right. I'm struggling with English too today, Trey. Do you have, when you sit down to write or when you sit down to maybe story build or make notes or develop a character or whatever process of the writing you might do to create the stories you create, do you have any kind of rituals or things you do to make that happen, whether it's a superstitious thing or okay, I have to have my water, I have to have this pen or this tablet or this keyboard or this lighting or this sweater, whatever? What are some of the things that you might do?
I don't have any rituals per se. I mean, my space right here where I am, it's getting darker. You can probably tell. So sorry for that, but I'm in front of a window and I have nice trees and I can see the sky. So that's always good for me to be able to see outside. And I wish I had, computers were better about being outside. But
right. Yeah.
The sun kind of cramps that style a little bit. But I move around sometimes because that feels good. It doesn't keep me stuck in one space. It's funny. I was just stuck in writing a book last week, and I was telling my friend, and she said, "Yeah, but have you made a date with your editor? Usually, when you have a deadline, you're better." And I was like, "Oh, you're right." So a deadline just motivates me. And I wrote 4,000 words the next day. So
nothing like pressure.
Yeah. Even if it's self-inflicted.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, with that, why does pressure motivate us so much? Or why does a deadline, something like that, convince us to be more productive?
I guess, go ahead. You can answer. Sorry.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Well, I mean, I want to show up right. I want to show up correct, prepared. I want to look like I did work this whole time. I think about the last open mic night we had where we do this every other month. We do a poetry or spoken word open mic night and I run the thing. So when I show up, I usually go first just to kind of break the ice for everybody. So no one else has to go first. And I usually let people if they want to, but it's usually me and I'm fine with that. There's, many years ago, if you would have told me this is what I'd be doing, I would have been like, whatever. I'm way too shy for that. But I do it. And if I don't come with something ready, it's because I feel like I can't repeat the same things. I must read something new that I've created so that I can show up I'm I don't know, I just feel this, I put this pressure on myself. And so I make sure I have the date picked out. We've done this now where we pick the date for the next one before we leave the one we're in. So I have a deadline. And sometimes it's earlier that same day. I'm scrambling. I'm outside pacing. I'm walking around in the woods trying to like come up with something to present, to write, because I can't read something old because that's cheating. I don't know if that explains anything, but that's what I do.
Kind of. Tricia, I'm curious your take on it.
No, I think it's really individual, but I'm not going to fail, right? Even if it's
Yeah.
my own deadline, I'm not going to miss my own deadline. And maybe
Right.
that's like how I was brought up, or, what I was taught as a kid, or whatever. But yeah, definitely my work ethic, I guess.
It feels like failure, but maybe it's not, and we're just saying it is. Like, but it does create that urgency that would be like failure. Maybe that's what it takes for some people. Like if we're not making the deadline, if we're not presenting the way we want, then it's somehow failure. There's a whole podcast about that, I bet.
There probably is a whole podcast.
A whole episode about this faux failure.
You didn't really fail.
No.
Not at all. And I mean, the thing about deadlines is they can always be pushed back. They can always be changed. They're not permanent. They're only as permanent as your mind or sometimes your editor makes them.
Or as the contract states.
Or as the contract states. There is that.
Mm-hmm. So there are things that are hard and fast rules. There are consequences.
Yeah, but that's not as fun, man.
No, there's not. I bet fairies don't have that to deal with.
Calling all
contract?
Fae, calling all Fae. Is anyone ready to make a contract? Oh, I feel like I just invited way too many people. Moving right along.
Good luck with the rest of your week, Trey.
Oh, jeez. Well, that being said, talking about your podcast,
Yeah.
I'm so curious. Whenever you are talking to somebody else, you now get to be on the other side of us, and we're the one asking you questions. And Emily and I have our own style of asking questions. So from no, like, okay,
We do,
why?
yeah.
We do. It's true.
I shouldn't have laughed. I'm sorry.
How dare you? I'm so offended. But I'm curious from your perspective, what do you hope to get out of those conversations with those other authors?
Yeah, so I am really talking to them about their books and their process of creating their books, and really the story behind the story, like the why behind what they wrote. So what are like their hopes and dreams for, I mean, some of it is just, this is entertainment. I want people to be excited and happy. But some of it, they have their, whatever theme or I guess theme that they want to bring a highlight to. And so, yeah, I just love hearing about how authors come up with their worlds, their themes, their characters, their inspiration, and getting those in front of other people too. So I interview a lot of indie authors, so that's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There've been
go ahead, Trey. I'm sorry.
No, just gonna say I've been intrigued by some of the episodes, and I have them queued up on my Spotify to listen to later. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And it's very organic, like this is too. Like one question leads to the next question, and then I mean, we try to keep it on the book and about the book, but or close to.
Do you find that those episodes, when you've recorded them, that they are somehow therapeutic for you? This is for us. There are days when I'll dread, like, oh gosh, I just don't feel like doing the podcast, and then we do it, and it's like invigorating and like, oh, this is exactly what I needed in my week. Do you find that to be similar for you too?
Yes, it is. It's definitely motivating, inspirational. If I'm stuck on something or if I'm like not feeling like writing, I get really energized, I guess, that, sort of like gives you that little jolt of energy, or like, just kind of pick me up so I can like, oh yeah, we're doing this together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's motivating. Even if we're not in the same art form, I leave with, usually there's some truth bombs that happened, and I'm walking with those the rest of the week. Things like that. Trey's nodding.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, oh, if only I could stay up really late tonight and work on the thing, because now I feel like I can.
And makes me want to go back up to my sewing room and like completely just organize the whole thing. Is that going to happen tonight? No. But am I going to be really excited and invigorated? Yes.
I will close the door on that messy room
and it
be
no longer
smiling about it.
exists. When it comes to like finding some of your guests, you say you talk to a lot of indie authors. What do you find them the most excited to talk about whenever they come on your podcast?
Usually they're characters in their worlds. I mean, like me, usually they're very bound to their characters, and they don't want to, their characters are their friends, or their characters are a part of themselves. So even like the shyest author, if you get them talking about their story or their world, or they could talk for an hour. Like they would just start talking and keep going. And usually by the end, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't let you talk. I'm like, this is the point of the conversation, for you to talk.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So with podcaster to podcaster, what tips do you have or what suggestions do you have for those that are maybe looking to start a podcast?
Ooh, good one.
Ooh, what suggestions do I have? You should probably do more research than I did. As you can tell, I tend to start things just like with my fairy books. I'm like, oh, I can write about a fairy because I saw a picture of a fairy. So the podcast started early 2021. It was sort of still pandemic time, and I was missing all my author friends. I usually went to like 2 or 3 author signings or these cons a year, and I saw all my time author friends, and I was missing that. And I thought, and I was in Toastmasters at the same time, so trying to increase my speaking skills because I'd been out of the job market for a while. And there was this project in Toastmasters that was like, oh, make a podcast. And I was like, ooh, if I do a podcast, I can talk to my author friends, number one, and learn about their new books and learn about all their new stuff. And I could share their new books and my new books and my stuff with everyone. So that was the first year, it was only me and my friends. One-on-one, but so yeah, I just started talking to people I knew and said, hey, do you want to do this? And they came on and we talked and we had fun. And now I have more publicists reaching out to me and publishing companies, and that's cool too. So yeah, but I love talking to authors.
And I have to say,
and I didn't tell you what other podcasters should do. Yeah, I'm not a tech person either. So if you can hire a tech person to make it look like really snazzy and professional, that's probably one thing. And have a web person that knows about SEO and can get you out there. That's a good thing, I think. All my weaknesses I'm listing now.
Well, all of that is hard when you think about starting a podcast. The first thought you have isn't SEO. It's not, how do I make my website look good? It's the broadcasting part. And it's way more than that if you want to be found and listened to and actually have a web presence. And it's, things like that. It's kind of the same with a lot of art forms. You don't think about SEO when it comes to making art. You think about just making the art. And that's a challenge for every artist. Yeah.
All those are like secondary considerations to me. I'm like, oh, people are like, do you monetize your podcast? I'm like, what's that?
Right. Exactly. What is monetizing?
Oh, we can do that.
Do I qualify for ad revenue?
I have no idea. I still have no idea.
The thing that strikes me, though, is that you still did it anyway. Is like, ooh, I could do this. And then even after the assignment was done, you continue to keep it going. So you jumped in head first and was like, that sounds fun. I'm going to try that. And you did it. And now you have...
Yeah, and I'm 5 years, so yeah.
That's awesome. The statistics, and this is mostly for our audience, the statistics are that over 90% of podcasts generally don't get past the 3rd episode, or maybe it's the 1st episode. They don't last. People start, I want to do a podcast, and the momentum and the work that actually goes into it is a lot more than a lot of people realize. And so any podcast that is in that passes that first year, that gets past 3 episodes, is already in the top 10% of all podcasts, which is amazing. So the fact that you've even done it this long and that you have as many guests and episodes as you have is incredible. And that says something about I think it says a lot about your passion for it, but also that you care. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel good.
And also, it's very natural. Like, even the way that you are responding to questions or the way that you have asked us, like, it's very apparent that you are just a very honest, natural person. And
Mhm.
I think that comes across.
Well, thanks. Yeah, my best thing that my guests can say is I felt comfortable and I had fun. And I'm like, that's what I want you to do. I want you to come on and have fun. We're going to talk about your characters. We're going to talk about your stories. I'm going to ask you about that. And yeah. So, I mean, one of my coolest people has been like a 13-year-old novelist. She's written two
Awesome.
like 400-page novels. I didn't know she was that young when she came on my podcast. And afterwards, I looked at her bio. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I thought she was kind of young, but then I was like, wow. And she's been on my podcast twice. Like, amazing girl.
That's
Super
so
fun.
great. That is so great.
Wow.
And she was even really knowledgeable about SEO. She's like, my video got more watches than any of your other ones. I saw that. I'm like, yes, it did.
That's pretty great.
I mean, we got to watch out for some of these Gen Zers, because, man, they will outperform us all the time.
We've had a few younger people on the show too that I think the episode did pretty well. The episodes we had Adelie, the dancer, and we had Nina and Caroline for the magazine.
Mhm.
Those are the 3 I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's refreshing too to see the younger generation be as brilliant as they are, doing these things that we've been doing for a while, or be doing some art form that is, I don't know, I find that incredible. It's refreshing, and I'm in awe of them.
Yeah, and this girl, she was on a soccer team. I think she played like 2 sports. She was on like a debate team, and she did all these extracurricular as well as writing these novels. It's like, I don't know how much energy you have, but way more than me.
Right? Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the younger generation, and really, I guess that the question should be framed to anybody. If you had any advice for those that are looking to get into writing, what advice would you get for someone that's maybe starting for the first time?
I think just keep writing. Like, if you have a story that like wants to be told, and I mean, you hear others say this a lot, but it is. It's like it comes in your head and you don't know why, and you just feel like you want it out in the world. I did take a lot of classes, because like I said, I didn't know how to write. I didn't know what plot structure was. I took a lot of classes. I learned more about grammar, and got a good editor, obviously, and then just decide where you want your book to go. If it's really a passion, that you get published by a big publishing company, learn the skills you need to get it where you want it to go. I talked so many success stories in so many different paths, right? So I think if you just keep working towards something, that's 90% of it right there.
Heck yeah.
One thing I want to make sure we include in this episode is your website is triciacopeland.com, TRICIACOPELAND, and you can go on Tricia's website and get 2 free short stories when you sign up. Is that right?
That is right. Yes, I have a free romance and a free, the starter to my fairy series.
Okay, awesome. And you're also on Instagram as author Tricia Copeland, on Facebook as Tricia Copeland Author, and YouTube as Tricia Copeland Author as well. And your podcast is, oh my gosh, I lost it. Your podcast is Finding the Magic. So go look that up too and listen to Finding the Magic podcast and follow that on Spotify and all of the major podcast outlets.
Well, Tricia, as our last question of the night.
Now
What'd you say?
I'm scared because that's what I do to my guests.
Panic. Mwahaha. No, seriously, this question has nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far, and it's the question we like to ask all of our guests. Partly because we never know what the answer is going to be, and partly because it's just interesting. You are sitting down to have lunch with anybody in the world, alive or dead. Who is sitting on the opposite side of that table from you?
I'm sure my answer now would be definitely different from my answer in any other time, but I would have to say my sister. I left my sister 2 years ago, so if there's any one person that I would love to have lunch with, it would be her.
Yeah, very nice.
That's a great answer. Well, Tricia, thank you so much for spending time with us. Honestly, you've made us as podcast hosts feel very comfortable and very secure in doing this podcast. So thank you so much for joining and sharing your artistry with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been really fun.
Great. Good to hear. Thank you.
As we close this episode out, like Emily was saying, please go follow Tricia and support her in whatever way you are able to. You can find us on Patreon under The Mod Rom, excuse me. You can also find past episodes of ours on our website, themodrom.com. You can also check out us on the social media, wherever you can support us. That's great. Thanks. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great night.